Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Caden Chamberlain, and this week we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be doing a helmet review on 5 different helmets, and we will be ranking them in 3 different categories on rider level, protection for your head, and roost level, because we all know roost absolutely hurts. And when I say we, I mean my dad, special guest, my father.
Hello.
So, he has his own website. Would you like to explain that to him?
Yeah, I run a website. It's called motodirtlive.com. I go in there, I do a blog, weekly blog. Sometimes I'll put up a couple of posts a week. Mostly it's about equipment. Now, we all know shopping around for all this equipment is crazy. There's so many different brands out there, so many different fits, so many different versions, colors. I mean, everything that you can think of. Me personally, I really don't think color makes that big of a difference in a helmet. It's what's on the inside that matters. You can always get a gear set to match. The nice thing is with most of the helmets, they pretty much match all the manufacturers out there. The big thing that I look for is overall protection. I look at the level. Read lots of reviews. And by level, I mean, what's your rider level? You know, beginner's going to have a different skill set than a pro is. You know, somebody who's going wide open, 5th gear around the track, taking every jump possible, to somebody that's rolling all the jumps and somebody that's just learning. So that's what my website mostly takes care of. I also do that as a father. Obviously, I'm a moto dad too. So I'm coming from the perspective of this is my son's nugget. I don't want him to hurt his nugget, yet alone have to pay for the doctor bills that go with fixing his nugget. That's another story altogether. But anyway, that's what I look for. Protective gear, helmets, boots, you name it. That's what I do on my website. And hopefully I can help you guys out make those decisions. It's just simple. You make one click, go to Amazon, go to eBay, whatever link I've got up there, and set out to what you're looking for. That's really the big idea, is to make sure that you've got the appropriate protection for your skill level.
Yes, I agree with that. If you guys want to check out his website, I'll put the link in the description. I also put my DM and my Gmail in the description if you want to sponsor me or support me. Everything helps. Subscribing to my channel helps. Liking videos, it helps. Everything you guys do helps in the long run. So, yeah, other than that, you want to get into it?
Let's do it.
Alrighty. So, here we have the O'Neal helmet. And since my dad's the one that bought this and I was too young to really understand everything, you take them through.
All right, so this is the first actual riding helmet that I got Caden. We got him another one previously when he was 8. Obviously, his head's grown since then. Yeah, not just physically, but mentally as well. Thank God. So this is the O'Neal helmet, very basic helmet. If you want me to give you the actual name for it, I honestly couldn't tell you. I picked this up on Amazon, honestly. It's got the look of the helmet. You know, it's got the feel of the helmet. This one does have an adjustable roost guard for it. We'll get more into that a little bit. This roost guard in particular, in all honesty, if you're riding in a good environment, you have it all the way up. If you need it to block the sun or you're in a group or something like that, you just tilt that right down and it's supposed to help with the roost. Now, I don't know that it 100% does, but technically that's what most of these helmets have now. Some of them move, some of them do not. These are designed to break off if there's an impact. As you can see, you've got screws here. You can replace all of these screws if this falls off to fix the helmet. This helmet, though, in general, this O'Neal helmet, good helmet. Nothing against it. This is perfect for the beginner. The beginner is going to be taking a lot of impacts, but it's not going to be a high-speed impact. Most cases, it's not going to be a high-speed impact. Because as a beginner, you're not going real fast around the track anyway, let's be honest. So this is the inside of it. I don't know if you guys can really see that or not. There is some foam padding in here. There's obviously inserts that you can take out and wash. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, it's pretty much just a foam pad that's in there. Meets all the DOT standards. Just so you guys know, the DOT standard, all that is the hardness of the outside of the shell. So if you get into an impact, it's going to protect you from, scraping your head. This is not supposed to break, things like that. But as far as this DOT rating goes, it's for the hardness of the outside of the shell. Doesn't really speak so much to the inside. So that's the beginner helmet. It was great. It worked out for Caden very well.
Yes.
It works out for lots of riders very well at the beginner level. So that I would consider a beginner level helmet.
Yes, so this is a beginner level helmet. I used this for about a year and a half, would you say? So I used it for about a year and a half. I like always kept my visor up because even when it was down, yes, it protected you from more roost. But if you look at the pros and Supercross riders, even when the helmet is on their head, they look down just a little bit because that roost is going up and it's going to hit them up here. So if their head is up like this, the roost is going to go up and hit them. So either way, they have to tilt their head down a little bit. So I think for a roost rating, most of these helmets will be around the same area, but they're still really good. So I think for a roost rating, we'll give this about a 5.5 out of 10, just because you can move the visor, so it can prevent you from having a little bit of that extra roost. It is a beginner level helmet, and then protection wise, I'd give it like, I don't know, like a 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5.
Yeah, like a 4.5 out of 10, just because it doesn't have MIPS. It meets all the DO2 standards, like he was saying. It's just the outer shell, though. Other than that, I mean, it's a really good beginner helmet. I wore this for, like I said, a year and a half. I had some pretty hard impacts on it because I was progressively getting faster before we had enough money to buy a new one. It still worked really well. So I definitely recommend going with, not too cheap. Obviously, you don't go cheap on your helmets, but this was definitely a good helmet as a first helmet. So that's the first helmet. So as an overall rating, we'll give it about 5.5 as an overall, something like that.
That's fair.
So next up is my brother's helmet, which he's going to grab here. The Troy Lee Designs helmet. Now, it does have a different kind of foam in it, and if I remember correctly, this was his Christmas present from us. So do you want to explain that to him and explain how it works?
Yeah, again, I'm looking a lot at the protection value and the level of the rider. So, beginner status with, as he was saying too, Nick is his brother. It's just another beginner helmet. However, this one is a step above what would be the O'Neal helmet that we just showed you. A couple of the same things that you're going to see is the adjustable screws on the side and the helmet roost guard. You can tilt that up, you can tilt that back. Honestly, guys, with this either helmet, I think it's more of a preferential thing. If you just want to leave it down, could it help with roost? Yeah, but if it gets real bad, you're going to have to get an extender for it anyway, especially in mud races and some trail racing. That being said, good overall helmet. This one is a little on the heavier side. It is more of a heavy helmet, so this is going to be more of your standard plastic, hard shell, like 99% of the helmets that are out there. Standard plastic hard shell, has the DOT, meets all the standards. Troy Lee Designs with this particular helmet, they do a little something different on the inside. You still have the foam inserts, the padding for protection, but they have an extra, it's almost like a rubbery foam. That's more for impact. So it's actually broken down into panels, and you can see it when you actually look at the helmet. You can see the difference, hopefully, between the black foam and the blue foam. This one is a little different because it's a little softer, maybe a little more rubbery to the feel than just your standard foam. And you can tell that by just pushing down on it. You can feel it. Again, this is more of an intermediate style. I would definitely say beginner to intermediate on this one. Overall, Troy Lee Designs, I mean, they make great stuff. The helmet looks good. There's about 150 different colorways you can get with this one too. So you can match, again, whatever bike you got, whatever outfit you got, you can match it. My overall rating on this one would be a step above beginner, but not quite intermediate, if that makes any sense.
So I agree with what he was saying, a step above beginner, but not quite intermediate. Like he was saying, it does have the DOT certifications, and I'm going to bring up one of my brother's wrecks. My dad has a quad, and my brother actually rolled that quad and hit his back and his head pretty hard. This helmet protected him through it. He didn't have any head damage, no concussion, no headache, nada thing. So this helmet is very good for protection. So if you don't want to get the O'Neal helmet and you want to get something maybe your child could grow into a little bit, I definitely recommend a helmet like this. Trolley Designs does have better helmets with MIPS and a lot more protection in them, but those are a little bit of a higher price range. So other than that, I would say give this about a 5 in Roost level. And at rider level, it's not beginner, but it's not intermediate either. It's in that in-between area where like your child's like, he's not really slow, but he's not super intermediate fast level either. So definitely a good helmet. Definitely recommend it. And yeah, overall it's just a good quality helmet. So Roost level is a 5. Protection level, I'd probably give it about a 6. And yeah, so overall I'd give it about 5.5.
I'm a little different on this one. I'm going to go with a 6. We're going to go a step higher on this one because the proof's in the pudding. We know somebody has this helmet, suffered an impact wearing this helmet. Number one, it cleaned up real nice.
Yeah, there's not a nick on here.
Number two, 0 head trauma in this helmet. That's what you're looking for when you're getting a helmet. Now, the other side to that, he was not going fast. It was simply a perfect storm of things that happened. But he had an impact and it was on his head. Nothing broke. Nothing snapped off. You wouldn't even know it. I could sell this helmet as new. I wouldn't personally do that because I know it's been through an impact, but it survived the impact. So my rating on it's going to be a 6.5 now that I think about it. Just given what happened to this helmet, the speed that he was going at and where he was wearing it. Again, great intermediate helmet. I would recommend this to anybody that's got, a kid who is 65cc, mid-pack, top level, top 15, 20 to 15, riding trails and stuff like that. All day, every day, I would recommend this helmet. And the price point is not bad on this helmet either. You can pick one of these up for about $150 to $180. And they always have clearance sales, especially on Amazon.
Intermediate helmet coming up next. This is my actual old helmet. I wore this at Bull Run the last time we went there. In that Bull Run video, this was the helmet I was wearing. So this is the Fox. Is it 2022 or 2021 V1?
22.
It's 2022 V1 Fox helmet. You can see right there. It says V1. You can't really see much right here, but there's not much right there. This does have MIPS in it, and I will let my dad explain that to you guys, what MIPS is, what the technology does. So yeah, take it away.
All right. So this helmet is choice. This is going to cover, I'm going to say, about 70% of the riders out there. With the protection that it has, it's great for beginner, it's great for intermediate, and it's great for, I would say, like a low-level pro, somebody just turned pro, doesn't have a whole lot of money to throw into a helmet, doesn't quite have the sponsorship yet. This helmet has been a great helmet, and I can personally attest to this helmet, multiple impacts on it. Never had any major issues as far as head trauma, concussions, none of that. And this helmet has grown with him.
I will say I've never actually had a concussion in this helmet. Actually, I hit a jump at one of my races, and I slammed my head off my bars, and I was on the ground for about 5 minutes, but I had no head trauma at all. It was mainly just like leg damage and stuff. But
yeah, and Fox has been around forever. Just like O'Neal and Troy Lee Designs, the previous helmets that we showed. Fox has been around forever. They do not put out a junk product. That's just all there is to it. Great helmet. Great protection. I mean, it's got scratches and dings on it, and the kid keeps coming back. No head trauma. No issues. We're good to go with this helmet for pretty much anybody. The MIPS, for me as a moto dad, trying to protect, my son, both of them, really, in a racing environment, I am going to tell you right now, MIPS minimum. The reason why I say that, you can throw all these fancy phrases out here. You can look up what the actual definition is for MIPS. But what it really comes down to is, what does that mean when you're wearing this helmet? So, you put on the helmet, and there's actually yellow plastic that is over top of the foam. You're not going to feel it through the foam that you have as your pads for your protection. You're not going to see it when you look at it. You look in the side here, all you're going to see is, hey, it's black foam in there. And that's just how Fox makes them. But it's actually a plastic insert So when your helmet goes like this, say you have an impact and you slide, say it's a front to back, that slider on the inside, that MIPS, is going to keep your head in a minimal movement position. So essentially, the inside of the helmet is going to move slightly with the rider. Now, when that happens, that's going to absorb the shock. That's going to take the shock and the impact and make it less than what it would be had you not gotten a helmet with MIPS. So that's basically my short, I don't know, great, poor, horrible explanation of MIPS, but that's basically what it is. It's an insert on the inside. It slides so that the impact on the head is less than what it would be without it. Lots of guys stand by those. I personally refuse to get a helmet, especially at the level that Caden's going to be racing at this year. His progression, I refuse to ever get another helmet for him that does not at least have MIPS. That is kind of what I stand by.
Yeah, and I actually agree with that. And I'll explain the MIPS a little bit more for you and give you a pretty good example. So at motocross camp, I go to a motocross camp every year, and I had a pretty hard wreck, and my head actually dug into the ground a little bit. So what the MIPS does is my head was like this, and the helmet was rotting back and forth, like forward and backwards like this, because it kept hitting the ground doing this. What the MIPS does is it leaves your head in place and gives it minimal movement. So the helmet could be moving and your head won't move at all because it's like a railing system. The MIPS moves your head for you. So it's like the helmet is on rails, so the outside's moving, but the inside isn't. And some people may think that's not a good thing, but it's actually a really good thing because it prevents your body from absorbing so much impact. So another thing I'd like to add to this is it has a magnetic visor. So this magnetic visor, you cannot move it and adjust it. But I actually like that because at camp or even at one of my Malvern races, I had two pretty bad wrecks at both of those, or one bad wreck at both, totaling the two. The magnetic visor fell off. It is so easy to put right back on. And actually, if you go on the Fox's website, they sell just the visors alone for those specific helmets. You can find them in the same colors as well. You can just rip it off, clean it, and then put it right back on. It's not that hard. It's magnetic. The magnets are very strong. A lot of the pros, AJ Catanzaro and Ken Roxon use the Fox helmets. Now, mind you, they're not V1s. I'm pretty sure they have V3s, the brand new ones, which are very top of the line. So, overall, it's a great helmet. Roost level, I'd give it about 4. Protection level, definitely in the higher area of, I give it a 7.5 at protection level. And just overall for your skill level, I'd say it goes across for almost every skill level except for top of the line pro. So if you're going to buy a helmet and you don't want to buy a cheap helmet that's like the O'Neill helmet, which is a beginner helmet. You want to buy one that your child could grow into, but you want to buy one that's really safe for them, so that way if their head isn't growing as fast as some kids these days heads are growing, you could honestly get them this helmet and it could last them a couple years at least. So yeah, this is a good helmet overall. I'd say as an overall rating, I'd give it like a 7, 7.5, just because it's a really good helmet. So I definitely recommend this.
I would go with the 7.5 all day. Like I said, Fox, you can't go wrong with Fox. If you do get a Fox, you got to get it with MIPS. This is anywhere from $180 to $230. So even price range, it's good mid-level. 7.5 all day, every day. This helmet, it's been great. Unfortunately, we've just grown out of it.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah. So next up, he was going to be showing his Fly. Is it Carbon S2 or F2?
This would be a Fly Carbon F2.
So the only downside to this is they actually discontinued this, but I do know you can still find these helmets on like Facebook Marketplace and stuff. I know a lot of people don't like to trust those websites, especially Facebook Marketplace, since there's a lot of used stuff. But before you just say it's used and throw it out the window as an option, look at the ratings of the guy selling it, because the ratings can depend on truth telling. But also, if you go to somebody's house or just meet up in the public to look at it, look at the inside and feel the foam. If the foam is hard, that's a bad helmet. If the foam is soft and you can squish it and stuff, that's a good helmet. And I'd recommend you just to take a couple more looks at it. Maybe even take some of this padding out just to look at the foam. So, anyways, I'm gonna leave it to my dad to explain how good this helmet is.
All right. So again, Fly F2. This is the carbon version. Here, you can pick that up, Kaden.
Yeah,
it is light.
It's like not even 3. It's like 2.5 pounds.
It's very, very light. Stupid light, to be honest with you. One of those lights that when you first pick it up and you put it in your hands, it's like...
You expect it to be heavier than what it is.
How is something this light going to protect my head? Well, I mean, that's where the carbon comes in. The carbon helmets are lighter. You know, the first versions of carbon helmets that came out, you could tell they were carbon. They weren't painted. You know, they were mostly... It looked like it was carbon. You know, they still do that with them today. But when they're talking about the carbon, they're talking about more of the inner shell. With this one in particular, it's carbon and it's got a light layer of plastic. But you have to rip the whole helmet apart, which I've done, to see all that carbon stuff. You even have to take foam inserts out and everything. It's a pain. But I wanted to see what I was getting into when I bought it. So, as you can see, again, this is one of the ones that has the adjustable roost guard. To be honest with you, most of the times I do have it down. Just a preference thing. It's not necessarily for roost, but you can have it up. And I will tell you, when you are in the attack position, which is usually your head's going to be something like this, and you put that down.
It kind of does block your view a little bit, I will admit.
Yeah. That's not the point, though. When I don't want to get roosted,
Yeah.
I don't want to get roosted. I don't want rocks flying at me into my goggles and tearing them up, too.
Sounds about
But
right.
at any rate, this helmet's a great helmet. It really is. Fly has been making great helmets for a while now. Me personally, this is my helmet. I use it every time I ride. Good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. Now, I am not a pro-level rider by any means. I wouldn't even say I'm an intermediate. As a matter of fact, when I ride, I need a slow-moving vehicle sign behind me. Possibly a blinker or two, you know, like a beacon light, just so everybody knows, hey, get clear of this guy because he's really slow. But I have had some relatively high-speed impacts on a four-wheeler with this. I've wiped out very heavily on a dirt bike with this, going faster than I thought I was going.
If I remember correctly, he was on his four-wheeler and he actually his head got thrown into a tree.
Mm-hmm.
His head got thrown into a tree, and he had no headaches at all.
Basically, what happened is the four-wheeler decided to make a right-hand turn, and my body decided to go straight forward into a tree.
Yeah.
But this helmet, honestly, I mean, everybody has their own opinion about me, and maybe I do have a couple of screws loose. Maybe this tightened them when I hit the tree, but this helmet is a great helmet. I recommend anything Fly Formula is what they're pretty much calling them all now. This is a Formula 2 F2 carbon. They range from, you know, the inexpensive helmets, which are good, again, depending on your level, all the way up to 3 times more expensive and 2 times more protection than what this one has. But I can personally attest to you, this particular helmet, the Fly F2, which would now be the Formula S helmet, carbon version. It's stupid light, great protection, and it does have MIPS as well.
Yeah.
We've already explained the MIPS. I can personally attest to the fact that the MIPS saved my head. In
Definitely.
that one where I hit the tree in particular,
Definitely.
but several incidents that I've had since then. The foam is still good on it. Even though there's been impact on the foam, I've personally inspected it. When foam starts to get super, super hard, like to where you can't even push in on it a little bit anymore, honestly, it's either replace the foam or replace the helmet. That's just where you're at.
Yeah.
And despite having the accidents that I have had, the crashes that I have had with this helmet, the foam on the inside is not impacted. It's still, you know, as plush as day one. The MIPS on the inside, something that does happen with the MIPS, if it's a really, really hard impact, the MIPS will slide and lock into position. And when that happens, your MIPS is no longer good. You can replace that MIPS on it, but really at that point, if you have a hard enough impact where it really does do something, your head's still going to be protected, but the outer shell, you're probably going to need a new helmet.
Yeah.
But this helmet has been great.
Yeah.
It's still my go-to helmet. I gotta be honest with you, I'm not buying another helmet until I absolutely have to, and that's gonna be when this foam starts breaking down on the inside and it gets too hard.
And I think that will lead us right into our next helmet after I give the overall review on this. Like he said, the visor is really just a personal preference. It really is.
It does serve a function.
It can.
Don't get me wrong,
Yes.
but 100 different guys are going to wear this visor 100 different ways.
Exactly.
It screws in, it locks. You can put it in whatever position, forward, backward. You can screw it down, lock it in somewhere in the middle. And there's a screw adjustment right here on all of these.
Yeah.
You can do that with every single one of them. It's where you want it. It's an 8 for me.
So, yeah.
All day, every day.
Overall protection, he said an 8. Mine's probably going to be around that, maybe above that. But, yeah, overall, I'd probably get about same rating as you did, about an 8, maybe an 8.5, actually. I've seen some of the impacts you had. Actually, some of the impacts you've had have worried me a lot, honestly. I thought you were going to have a couple concussions. But you can ask him. He hasn't had any brain damage or, like, headaches at all. I mean, he had brain damage before the fact that he started.
So. Yeah, just watch where you're going, son.
Alrighty, so we're moving on to the final helmet. This is freshly bought. I haven't worn this yet, but I can attest to this from watching videos and stuff like that this is an amazing helmet.
This is the unboxing.
Yeah, this is the unboxing of it. So, this is like the Screaming Eagle of all helmets.
That was a terrible Screaming Eagle.
This is a...
Caden's got a much better Screaming Eagle. I don't think we're going to do here, though.
No. This is a 6D ATR2 helmet. So I will open it and pull it out for you. Now, mind you, before I open this, I didn't expect it to come in this bag. These bags are like $250.
I bought it. I didn't think it would come in a bag either.
Yeah, so like a lot of people talk about like those bags that are like just wrap around the helmet. No, this is like a fully blown helmet bag for this helmet. These are like $250, like I said. Alpine Star sells their helmet bags for like $300.
I mean, they're expensive.
They're expensive. It's ridiculous just for a bag.
And again, with the helmet bag, there's 100 different styles. There's 100 different makers for them. Ogio makes them. I mean, everybody knows that if you've shopped in the motocross industry or off-road motorsports, you know, they sell pretty much everything.
Yeah. So here is the 60 ATR2 helmet. This is a great helmet. Now, I will say, it does not have MIPS, but there's a catch to that. You can ask my dad. This isn't MIPS. This is MIPS on steroids. You have the normal Arnold Schwarzenegger and then bodybuilder Arnold Schwarzenegger. So do you want to explain this to him?
Well, first off, this helmet gives you the pump. You feel it right in your head right away. I don't know if that's a good Arnold Schwarzenegger or not. People tell me it is. But anyway, a minor concussion can really screw you up for a while.
For sure.
It can screw you up for a couple of weeks. It can screw you up for a couple... You could go 2 years. Just a minor head impact can really cause long-term effects. So that's why we're spending the time on these helmets and kind of show you the progression. And this is where we've come to now. This is the 60 ATR2. Now, we're doing a lot of talking about the MIPS. And again, don't mind the colorway. They literally have every color you can possibly think of. And some schemes that you didn't even know were a thing, now they have that on their helmet too.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Let's not forget too that when you get to the upper echelon, you can have a custom paint job put on whatever helmet you want anyway. So the most important part, again, not necessarily the look, not necessarily the brand. However, with this one, I'm going to say the brand makes a big difference. 60's been around for a little while now. In the bigger scheme of things, they are a newer player to the game.
Yeah.
However, this helmet, I chose it because there's so many things. So just going over a couple of them. Just on the outside. Again, you've got the adjustable roof guard for it. This one's screwed down. Again, it has multiple different settings for it.
And it actually comes with a tool. So it comes with 2 side piece replacements, a screw side piece, or a screw piece replacement, and it comes with a tool to tighten these. I didn't expect that, but it came with tools to tighten it, and it already came with replacement parts. So that's a nice thing about it.
Yes. Here's another nice thing about it too. Now, this is a totally different video. I'm not going to get into it. neck braces. Okay, take them or leave them. We're not going to get into that on this particular one right now, but this has a very, very profound clavicle cutout on it. Now, what that is obviously your clavicle is your collarbone, okay, up here. So something happens, you get twisted upside down the wrong way, it's already got a cutout. Now that actually is going to help absorb shock with your clavicle. I'm not going to say you're not going to break your clavicle. I'm not going to say you're not going to dislocate something. But this cutout right here is really a big deal for one of two things. It's one, a big deal for the guys that wear the neck braces, honestly. And two, it's another big deal because it's another level of impact that you have that this helmet they thought about when they made.
So, do you want to explain to them what the ODS system
Yes,
is?
I'm going to get into that. You best believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you look at it. I mean, it's a good looking helmet. You know, it looks like a motocross helmet. You can definitely tell just by looking at it, there's something different. There's something different about this helmet. Okay, there just is. So the first thing I'm going to tell you that's different, this thing is huge. It's huge. It is a big helmet.
Yeah, it's huge on the outside, but on the inside, it's actually pretty tight.
Let's just compare. Okay, this is my Fly helmet. That's the 6D helmet. Okay, so look at him. Again, I told you guys I love this helmet.
And his is an XL, and mine's a medium.
Right. So the sheer size of the helmet is big. That's not a bad thing.
No,
okay?
not at all. Not at all.
The other thing that we noticed about this, just from looking at it, just unboxing it, putting it in your hands, feeling it, I thought my carbon helmet was light.
This thing is extremely light.
This is lighter than my carbon helmet. Now that is a big deal too, because that means more mobility. You're not going to feel it on your head so much. Flexion, movement, all of that goes into this particular helmet. Okay, now what Caden was talking about was I'm a fan of the MIPS for the technology that it has for a reason, because of the slip differential. When your head is moving around, or the helmet's moving around, your head is staying in a stable position, therefore reducing impact. Okay. There's, I believe, Alpine Stars and Bell, I think they do this as well.
Yeah, I think Alpine Star and Bell do the ODS.
Yeah, they use this ODS protection. Okay. Now what that is that is MIPS on steroids.
So you have normal Arnold and then steroid Arnold.
Yeah. You got Arnold when he was a teenager. Well, now you got Arnold as Mr. Olympian. Okay. The reason why I say that is because there's actually... Grab the box. We're going to set this aside for now.
This is the box.
Okay. So they show you on the box kind of what they're talking about. All right. Full disclosure, these helmets are not cheap, so I didn't want to go ripping apart the helmet just to have to send it back to 60 to get it fixed again. Okay, all of this here. And again, we're not sponsored by any of these companies.
Not at all.
This is sheerly protection. So all those fun little sliders and posts and rubber and magnets and whatever else they got going on this. But that's the ODS system. Now what that tells me is Caden starts riding. Okay, he's going through a set of doubles. It doesn't go well. Maybe his front end's dipped too much. Maybe he cases it the wrong way. Doesn't get on the throttle at the right time. Any combination of things that you can think of. And he goes to impact his head. What this helmet's going to do is, not only do you have the foam liner on the inside for padding and protection, but you also have that ODS. Now, the ODS, why I say it's the MIPS on steroids, is because literally this helmet, whatever direction this helmet is moving in, that ODS system is going to keep his head in the best possible position during an impact.
So with the MIPS is really only a forward backward protection motion, so it's really only forwards and backwards. This, you can move it side to side, and with the magnets being cross-barred this way, and like all around basically, my head could be moving to the side and do what MIPS does, but all around the entire helmet. So with MIPS, it's front and backward. With this ODS, it's side to side, corner to corner, whatever. It's gonna protect you to the best of its ability. And another thing I like about this actually is on the box. It even shows it. If you look closely, you can see how there's a kind of like a weld thing in here, like a plastic weld. If this front piece of your helmet breaks off completely, you can replace this on 6D. So you send it to them, and they fully replace this front part. So if this front part of your helmet breaks off, they can replace that. So you want to get into the what they can replace factor and everything.
Okay, so they advertise it. When you click on anything 6D, they straight up tell you that this is the only fully rebuildable helmet on the market that you can get right now.
So it's the only fully rebuildable motocross helmet.
This is what they say. Now, we know if you've got the money and if you have the means, you can get any helmet rebuilt that you want.
Yeah.
Chances are you're sending it to a guy who's certified to do it for, say, Alpine Stars or whatever. Or you can send it directly to Alpine Stars. I'm sure they'll rebuild the helmet, but chances are they're just going to say, you need a new helmet.
Yeah.
Here's the difference with 6D. There is not a single part, other than the external shell and the paint, that cannot be rebuilt. You can literally send this helmet to 6D, and it's not expensive at all. $135.
To replace the entire thing.
The whole helmet.
The only thing that you cannot replace on this helmet, and basically every helmet we've shown you, is the DOT certification, which is the outer shell. You cannot replace the outer shell. Once that outer shell starts to crack or break, you just need a new helmet. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good the inside is. If its outer shell starts to crack and break, you need a new helmet. But with this helmet, they advertise it. Like he said, they show it all over their website. You can fully rebuild this entire thing other than the outer shell. That's the only thing you cannot rebuild. And you can get it fully rebuilt with $135. I'd much rather have you fully rebuild my helmet every season for $135 than having to buy a brand new $500 to $600, maybe even $800 helmet every race season. I mean, I think you can agree with that.
So that plays 100% into the reason why you would buy a helmet like this. Now, the initial cost for this helmet is expensive.
It is not.
It is not inexpensive. It is not a cheap helmet. You can tell by looking at it, feeling it. You can look it up, and I personally fought with this myself. Is biting the bullet and just getting it, because where he's at, his skill level, where he's going to, protection is essential.
This could last me the rest of my life as long as the outer shell has no damage.
And your head doesn't get any bigger.
Yeah, and my head doesn't get any bigger.
Yeah, that too. But regardless, full disclosure, haven't had a full ride out of it yet. We just got the helmet. We're just giving you our impression from unboxing it, from looking at it.
And from the reviews and from reading what people say about it. And basically from looking at the pros. If you look at Eli Tomac in his 250 career when he was on Geico Honda, he had a 6D helmet. That's all he wore. I mean, even though it was Geico's sponsor for helmets, it still was a 6D helmet, and he still didn't really get much damage to his head at all. And he had a couple wrecks that year. A local pro in the area, or not in the area, but a couple hours away, Jeremy Hant. He wears 6D helmets, and he's a great rider.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually a top 100 rider. And he wears 6D helmets. Jeremy Martin wears 6D helmets. Every club
the list goes on and on.
The list goes on for the amount of people that wear just 6D helmets. Even this specific ATR2.
Now, as a parent, as a moto dad, seeing what all these other guys out there are wearing means absolutely nothing to me. It doesn't mean anything to me, because you guys all know that the pro level, the factory riders, everything they have is custom made for them. It just is. They get fitted by doctors. They get fitted by their teams. Whatever. They got teams of people that are protecting them. But when you look around and you see these helmets, these 6D helmets in particular, are starting to show up everywhere.
Yeah.
Woods riding, desert riding. You can watch videos of guys, and you'll look and you'll see there's a 6D helmet there somewhere. Somebody flying by, somebody that they're racing with, the rider's video that you can watch online personally yourself, you will see this type of helmet. That starts to speak a little bit to me as a parent. So I'm like, what's this helmet all about? You know, this is a $740 helmet. Not gonna lie.
Not cheap.
Not a cheap helmet. You know, $750 for a helmet. Okay, my first thought is, okay, it's $750 for a helmet. He has an impact. It cracks open. I got to get him a new one. Or something happens to the MIPS on the inside or the ODS on the inside. I got to get him a new helmet. One major investment with this helmet, and what would be considered doing like maintenance on your dirt bike, changing fluid, spending $100. So for $185, you have this replaced. You have all of this on the inside gets replaced, and it's going to offer you the full protection that the helmet's made to do.
And something I'm not sure if you guys noticed, I know we didn't show the bottom of every helmet, but something I'm not sure if you guys noticed is with this helmet, his helmet, and the Trolley Designs helmet. So 3 out of the other 3 of these helmets.
3 of the 5.
Or 3 of the 5, yeah. 3 of the 5 of these helmets have this pull right here. And basically what that is if you have a really bad wreck and you can't move your head, and they have the medical EMTs that are, Alpine Star medics there, whatever they have there as
EMTs.
Yeah, EMTs in the local level, professionals, Alpine Stars. If it's bad enough to the point where you can't move your head, what these do is they pull their finger here. I'm not going to rip it off, but they put their finger here, and they rip it off while one person has their hands right here pushing outwards, so the person's head on the inside doesn't get pulled whenever they go to pull these off. And that helps your head come off the helmet a lot easier, so you don't get any extra damage done to your head. I personally really like that. And actually, this may look really big, and it is. But the foam on the inside, they have so much protection on the inside of the helmet that it fits me perfectly fine. It looks like an XL, maybe a double XL helmet just from looking at it. It's a medium. They have so much protection and foam on the inside that it really protects your head really well. And that's something I like about this. And I can feel, because I plan on going riding later, I can just, by wearing it, I can feel that it will be a good, comfortable helmet. I don't feel any discomfort in this helmet at all.
So tightness. Is
Yes.
it too tight? Is it too loose?
It's perfect, actually.
Okay.
I think it's
I'm going to have Caden go ahead and strap that on there. Like you're going to go riding right now.
Okay.
Because this is another test, too, to see if the helmet's actually going to fit.
And if you're at, like, a local dealer, like your local...
Try them on.
Yeah, try them on
put them on.
Do this test that we're about to do. I know exactly what he's going to do. Do this test.
Because I do it with every helmet.
Yeah. Do this test, and that will show you if it's a really good helmet or not. Clip that, if I can get it. Okay, there we go.
All right. So now we're strapped in. Okay, look at the camera, because I want them to see this. All right. Hold your head as far as you can to the right. And I'm going to pull. You ready? Okay. Now let's do it to the other side. You ready? Okay. So you guys might not be able to see what was happening there, but I was putting pretty good amount of force on this both sides when I told him to move. Those pads did not leave his cheeks.
Not
either side. So number one, that means the helmet's fit. It's the right fit. It's the right size.
Like I said.
Number two, when you're having those side-to-side impacts, the helmet's so light. A lot of people say that a light helmet can be a concern too. But if it fits right, and we can tell that it clearly does, when you move from side to side, your head is going to move with the helmet, and the helmet is going to move with you. Big deal. That is a huge deal when it comes to helmet fitment. That's number one.
I agree.
If it moves around too much, the helmet's it's too big.
Like with my Fox helmet being the way it is after the amount of impacts and the stuff I put it through, if I were just to put it on and strap it and not even hold my head where it is, if you remove it, there'd be a little bit of movement in it. Now, there's going to be a little bit of movement like this in every helmet, but what he just did, if he were to do that with my Fox helmet, these pads wouldn't even be touching my cheeks at all. Whereas what he just did, I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but the pads were touching my cheeks the entire time, both ways. So overall, I think, personally, as an overall rating for this helmet, every single level. Every level.
10.
10.
10!
10.
Says Caden.
Obviously, you can move this, whereas with the Fox you can't. So you can move this, but you can't move the visor. I feel like this is a 10 across the board. A 10 in every category. And for rider level, you can use it as a beginner helmet, as an intermediate helmet, as any rider level. This is the helmet for you for any rider level, even if you're top of the line pro. Because like I said, Eli Tomac, when he won one of his 250 championships in motocross, he was wearing this type of helmet. Pretty sure it was the ATR 1, not the ATR 2. But everybody loves the 60 helmets. I mean, I haven't really seen a single bad review about it at all.
In full disclosure, those other riders that he's making reference to, the pro riders with the factory teams, the names that you know when you turn on TV and you watch it, they have their own opinions. Their opinions are usually going to be geared toward who is supporting them as well that they should be.
Yeah,
but what you have to look for and what you have to consider is look at the guys who don't have big money sponsors.
Like the privateers.
The privateers that you see for practically every race. The whole off-road community, everywhere you look, there's a 60 helmet.
At least 5.
Now, knowing what we know now, we know that there is a legitimate reason for that. Because you make a sturdy investment up front, and you can literally rebuild this helmet. If his head doesn't grow bigger than a medium, and maybe even if it does, I don't know, we haven't explored that yet, but this helmet can be totally rebuilt. So that right there, that's a money savings over even 3 years.
And I say that if your kid is just getting into motocross and stuff like that, yes, everything about this helmet is good, and it's good across the board in every category. I say you get them probably the V1 helmet. Now, the only reason why I say that is because if your kid is a 65 or an 85 kid, their helmet's going to be growing. Or not helmet, their head is going to be growing, which means their helmet size will be going up. So once they get around that, that 16, 17, 18-year-old range where their head starts to slow down in growth and maybe even completely stop, that's when I would save up the money. Or even if, I know not everybody in the motocross industry is rich or wealthy, but if you have, if you're not poor but you're not rich either and you're just wealthy and you have some money to put into a helmet, I 110% recommend this. If you're struggling with money a little bit, go with the V1. Honestly, I feel like the V1 and the F2 are the best helmets for price range and protection that you can possibly buy. Or at least that we have here today. Obviously, there are thousands of other helmets that are great, made by the same brands and stuff. But everything about this helmet, the feel is amazing. I really like it just by looking at it. And this is the Eagle or King of all helmets. Or at least all helmets that we have here. I mean,
again, this is our opinion.
Yes.
You have to make your own opinion.
Yes. So this is our opinion, but base your opinion off of what you hear. So don't just watch this video and go buy a helmet. I want you to watch this video, do research on the helmets that we showed.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to do research.
That's what he did with this 60 helmet. He was on edge about it because it didn't have MIPS, and he did some research on the ODS system and realized that it is MIPS on steroids. So, honestly, watch this video. You don't have to, give us anything. Maybe just click the subscribe button or like button. Any amount of support helps. I will put his website link in the description.
MotoDirtLive.com.
MotoDirtLive.com. And he has a lot of basically everything on there. And it's all from Amazon, so if you do want to get a jersey or something, you cannot.
eBay.
Yeah, and eBay. You cannot put your name or number on it. But if you're just looking for an outfit to wear, you don't want your name or anything on it, I definitely recommend going to it. Or just helmets and boots. Now, make sure you don't click out of his link whenever you go to buy something if you do want to support us. If you don't have to support us, but everything helps. I'm telling you guys, any amount of help that you guys give us absolutely helps me with racing this season. I did have 6 races originally, but now I have 5. So that was cut short a little bit. But we might be doing a couple fill-in races at some other places and stuff. So we'll see about that. But, other than that, that kind of wraps up our helmet video, helmet review, I should say. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. We put some time into this. We set up a whole bunch of stuff for this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. A like and a subscribe is the least you guys could do for us. But even then, that still helps a ton. So other than that, I'd say overall, out of the helmets that we have shown you and the helmets we have here, the 6D ATR2 is the best helmet out of all of them. I think it is good across the board on every category. That's really all there is to it. And it comes with like a $200 bag specifically for the helmet. A lot of people say the bags are just like those ones that you wrap around and have the straps. No, that's like an actual bag. It has a handle. It has basically everything a helmet bag should have. So, I mean, other than that, this is our helmet review video. My helmet review video with my special guest, which is my dad.
Special.
He's very special. He has a couple of loose screws.
So in closing, what I'll say from my side, I'm a moto dad. You know, this sport is not inexpensive. It's one of the greatest sports. You'll never get a better feeling than you do in motocross as to riding. You have to get the right gear, though. And your gear has to match your skill level and what you can afford, in all honesty. You know, just because you can doesn't mean that you should. You need to get something that's right. And if by all means you can start your little ripper out on a 50 and straight up go right into a 6D helmet, do it. By all means, do it. I personally was in a different financial statement back when he started. So that makes a difference. And if you can do it right away, do it right away. Get the top of the line gear that you can get. But just remember, especially with the younger kids, they are going to grow out of this. So the rebuild really wouldn't come into mind if you start him in a youth large and then he ends up in an adult medium a year later. You're going to have to buy a new helmet anyway. You know that. But all of that comes into play. Get the best gear. The things that we showed you, none of them are what would be considered inexpensive, off-brand, or cheap.
And we wouldn't have showed them to you if we didn't think they were good for those skill levels and for that type of rider. My O'Neill helmet I had some pretty hard wrecks in that, and the most I got out of it was a headache. It was a really bad headache, but it wasn't a concussion. That's the worst amount of anything I've had from wearing that helmet. My Fox helmet, I didn't really get any headaches or concussions from it at all. I can't wait to wear this 6D helmet. I think it'll be great, feel amazingly comfortable, and it could last me my lifetime, right? You could rebuild it as long as the outer shell isn't damaged. So, I mean, I think that this was a helpful video for you guys. If it was, let us know in the comments. Hit the like button, sub button. I know I've said that a couple times, but it's not much. It's not much. I don't think I'm asking for much here. But anyways, this was the helmet review video with my loving dad, my moto dad.
All right, so you need to watch more videos coming from CC Racing. Got a lot of ride days coming up, and there's going to be more blog posts on my website as well. You can check it out, motodirtlive.com. I'm on Facebook, motodirtlive.com. I post once or twice a week, and I try to give some good information, and any help, any information that you guys would like to see, shoot me up on Facebook, hit me up on my website. And then as far as Caden goes, it's going to grow.
Yeah.
You guys are going to start to know his name.
Yeah, you guys are going to start to know my name. I've only been doing this for a year, and you can ask my dad. I have improved like beyond. It's just kind of speechless for how fast.
Caden has been racing for a year.
Yeah,
he's been riding dirt bikes since he was 8, but that was just around the farm.
Yeah, that was just around the farm, putting around. I didn't know rider position. I didn't know to stake my foot out. I didn't know everything that I know now just from.
But all of that is for another video.
Yes, all that's for another video. There will be a couple technique videos coming in the future on the farm and at Bull Run. So, without further ado, thank you for watching. Be on the lookout for more riding videos at Bull Run, more training videos at Bull Run, and more riding footage out on the farm and technique videos. But without further ado, do you have anything else to say?
Moto Dirt Live, baby.
Moto Dirt Live in the description. Alright guys, thanks for watching.